basic web application development using PHP. Now we are reading a very basic web application for mobile, uh, very basic application for movie application, right? So if you didn't watch the previous tutorial, go back and watch part 1. You can get the basic resource folders there, so you can download it and start from the scratch. Okay, so this is part 2. In part 2, we'll write some functions and we'll create our home page for the web application. So last time we created the very basic views and our index page and sign up page and everything, but we couldn't able to sign a new user into the database. So let's write some function how to sign up a new user into the database. So just inside the function create new file called functions. Okay, so let me say this as functions.php. Okay, so let me say this as function.php. So open the PHP tag here. Okay, so inside this we'll write the very basic functions. So let me write the very first function to sign up a new user into the database. So we call function sign up. Okay. So inside this we can write a very first function. So all the basic functions we have an SQL query to create a new data or new record into the database. So you can assign a new variable called SQL. So this is the name that we used in index and other views as well. Okay, so you can see that index.php. Okay, so in index.php is like this. Inside the database, it's a connection. Okay, now you can see here we pass the variable the SQL queries with the variable name $sign SQL. Okay, so here we can create all the SQL queries with the name SQL, right? SQL variable. So let me write the function insert into. We can write the direct SQL query here, right? Into user values. So now we need to mention the values. Okay, so the values are inside this. You can say first one get image in $sign post first value we pass into it, which is sign up username. Okay, so you need to know where is this come from. Just go and check the signup.php here. This is the variable name that we pass into SQL query in functions. Okay, so signup username. So just like this, we'll pass the other values. Okay, so we can pass the other values too. Okay, so the username, after we mention the username, press dot so that we concatenate all the values. Okay, then the next value. Okay, dot post the second value. Okay, sign up name. Okay, and we need to join this. So like this, we can put comma to all the values that we need to pass. Okay, so I already have the code, so I just simply copy that. So this is my SQL query. Okay, this is my SQL query. So you can see here I passed the username, first name, last name, age, and I used a function called hashed to encrypt the password. Okay, so we'll write the hash function later, but I just written when I pass that password into the database, I just hashed it for encryption. Okay, if you didn't use a method to encrypt the password, Your password will be stored as a string format into a database. So anybody can see your password, what you mentioned. So we used a method called hashed for the password. Okay. So after write the SQL query, we need to set this data. So if set data, okay, we need to pass the query. Okay. If it is set successful, then it should go to the index.php location. Okay, so write the script. So if the data is set, it will redirect to the index.php page. Okay, so which means after you press sign up, it goes back to the login page automatically. Okay, because when we press sign up, we write all the functions to redirect back to the login page. Okay, so that's written at the bottom. It will execute the function called sign up. Okay, so this is what we write here in sign up. Okay, so earlier we mentioned sign up function in signup.php, so that the function will be written in functions. Okay, so this is our very first function. So in for the password we use a function called hashed. So let me write the function. Okay. So this hash function should get the value of new password. Okay, so I need to pass the variable password. So let's write so hash password b equals to so we'll write two encryption method. First, the password will be hashed into an MD5 value, then it is hashed into SHA-1. So let's pass the variable password here. Okay. So the password is encrypted 2 times. Okay. Then we'll return the hashed value. Hash password. Okay, so we get the password value, the password string, and it is encrypted using MD5 and SHA-1. Okay. So we mentioned the sign up function and the hash function too. So if we write a function to sign up, we need to write a function for login. Okay. So we can write a function for login. Similarly, we'll write an SQL query. Right. Select. We need to check the password from user table where we created, where username should match with the value. Okay. So how we get the password here with the value of first. Login username. Okay. So this is the SQL query we need to write to select the password from the users table and check if the username that is entered by the new user or the user is matched or not. Okay. So this one. So here we are retrieving a data. So I will retrieve this data and fetch it into result. say that the result is taken by this. But this is SQL query. Okay. Then I say the user should be fetched associate from the result. Okay. So we set that user which is fetched from the result. Okay. Then what we need to check is if the user's password matched with the hash password. Okay. So when the user is enter a password, that is running through the hash function and check whether it is matched or not. Okay. So if the user's password matches with the hash function, matches with the login password. If it is matches, the password is match, execute the session. Okay. Username. It takes the username which is equals to login user. Okay, so that login username is that is entered by the user that is assigned to the session's username. Okay, so we'll use that for that read the user in the home page. Okay, so let's write so the location is index.php. Okay, then the script. Let's close the script. Okay, because it's an HTML. Let's close it. Then, okay, if this happens, else what we need to do, we'll echo alert. If that password is not matched, we'll pop up an alert. Invalid credentials. Okay. So let's say if the password is not matched, we can say that it's an invalid credential. We can say this also HTML1. So it's day.com. So we write the second function. Okay, second one, third one. Let's say sign up function, hash and login. We write those three basic functions. Okay. So let's write if we have sign up function, we need to write sign out as well. Okay, so function sign out. So at the beginning, we created a session, so we need to unset that. Okay, so let's unset that username because there will be new user will be login. Okay, so we'll unset that username. After that, okay, let's write a script. Okay, that script will say window dot location equals to index.php. That is it. So this is what we uh, did. So we write a function for sign up new user, then we hash the password when we get the password from the user, then we write a function for login, then we write a function for sign up. Okay, so these are the very basic 4 functions that we written under functions. Okay, so let's say this and check whether it's working fine or okay. Say this and let's go sign up. Just close this. Okay, I will go for some union java or 20 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 and just okay, so there are some issues. Let me check this. Counter undefined function sign up. Yeah, we did a mistake. What's that is we didn't mention that we had a function PHP. So now we have functions.php. So let's refresh this. So cannot use temporary expression in right context on line 28. Let's check. Okay, I didn't exit it properly, I guess. Okay, unset username. Okay, it's dollars. Okay, so this is what we had. So for the sign out function, we write a session and we unset it. Okay, you save this and check again. Okay, let's go for name. 1 2 3 4 5 6 and register. I think it's registered successfully. Okay. But there are some issues in the function. So let's go and try. Yeah, there are some issues. Okay. Login.php66. So let's check. In login page, 66, we have a login function. So in function, we should have a login function. Okay. We have a login function. Okay, it's related with index.php line 17. Let's debug it. Use login.php. We have login.php. So I think I made a mistake, so I'll recheck it. we have login and everything. Okay. So let's try again. Oh, I debugged that issue, but it shows there is no such file called home.php. Okay. So let's create a home.php inside these views. Okay, so this is my home.php. Okay, that's it. So we have our home.php file. So let's write something inside this. Actually, home.php is a view, okay, just like our login and sign up. So let's start with HTML. Okay. So my title is inside the project. This. So this is what we have. So let's check again. Okay. Now it's redirected. Welcome to ABC movies. Okay. So let's redirect that. Okay. Because we already redirect that index page to login.php. So okay. So let's write something because it's all my session. That's all. So the sessions will be terminated when we close the browser. So we can close this browser and check it again. Okay, now we can enter. Where it's in the credential. Okay, let me sign up again. Enter. B engage 20. The password is 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, already there is guys exist, but I think I forgot the password. So let me create some new user. ABC. First name A. First name B. Age is 19. Okay, now we create a new user called ABC. So let's use ABC. 2, 3, 6. Now you can see that login function works successfully. So next we need to write a function to display all the movies in the welcome page. Okay, so let's do that and see. So in function we will write a new function to display all the movies. So I'll write an already existing function. So the function called function all movies. Okay, just like the previous functions, I write an SQL query to select movie ID name, cover image from the movie details table. Okay. Then I create a new variable called movies and get all the data through using this SQL query. Then I need to display all the movies in three columns. So I just keep a count of 0 and use a while loop to display all the movies in 3 columns. Okay. So I fetch all the movies and here I display 5. Okay, so it's if you make it 4, you can display 4 columns. Okay, if you make it 3, you can display 3 columns. Okay, so let's keep it 4. Okay, then at the bottom, I just mentioned the movie ID, then the movie. Okay, let's fetch the movie. Then the image, the cover image that I used. Okay, then the movie name. Then I increase the count. So we use a simple while loop to display all the movies. So let's save this and refresh this. You can see this. Okay. The didn't get it. Just simply save this. In home page, we need to mention that we had a function called all movies. Then only it can work right. Okay, so let's write that. In home page, okay, in home page, we'll say that PHP we have a function called this. Okay. Yeah, that's our function. So till that I have a function called movies. Okay. Now you can see here it shows a movie, but it's not in line. Right? It is not aligned, but we can get all the movies. Okay. So let's go check here. And now we can display all the movie cover images in the home page. Okay, let's align this. Okay, so we can keep it inside a table, so we can align all this data. Okay, so let's keep this inside a container. Okay, so now we tested that the code is working properly, but we need to align it. Okay, so let's write div class container. Then we can write table 6. This is a return console. Okay, inside this body we have a container. Then we'll write a table. Let's see. Style into week. Okay, simply in 80%. Okay, so now we have a table. Inside that, we'll write our PHP code. Let's say if set if there's data existing, get based on movie ID. Okay. If you're confusing with what is movie ID, movie name, just go and check that SQL file. Okay. Simply you can see here, you can see all the table name and everything. Okay. If it has a movie ID, the database movie ID, let's keep let's say echo just a testing data. Okay, just a test data echo functions because we didn't write any functions yet, okay, to show a specific movie, right? Else, okay, if the user didn't pick a specific movie, it should show all the movies. After we write this function, let's close the table. Okay, usually tables will keep all the data aligned. So now you can see all the movies are aligned and shown. Okay. So this is the end of part 2 tutorial. So let's meet with the third part of this tutorial with how to select a specific movie. Okay, so my movies, I just mentioned my movies here. Okay, so we can write a function to select a specific movie and display its details in next tutorial. Okay, so now up to this point you will be done with all the list of movies. Okay, so if you want to add one movie, you can go to functions and change this count to 5. Okay, so if you change this count to 5, you can see it shows 5 movies in a row. Okay, so we'll meet on next tutorial.